So I've just been rambling this whole time, apparently, to myself. That's great. So, uh-oh. That explains why people want to be coming in and going. Hopefully you can hear me now. That was weird. It switched for some reason. So I was talking about health and technology, and I guess I'm gonna have to go in and cut like the first 8 minutes off from this. In post after the stream. So hopefully you can hear me better now. Sharkfin, if you can, let me know what was going on with that. It's weird because yeah, that's strange. So I was talking about the video that I posted and going kind of more in depth in it. And so basically the situation is I have social anxiety. I have issues with my breathing ever since I had COVID, basically. I have to use an inhaler now, 2 different kinds, and I was fine, and then I had a panic attack, and I had to, use Siri to basically send a message to my wife and, send her my location. I called her, she's like, "Where are you?" And I, was far enough from the street sign that I could only see the one street sign and not the one that I was on, but the other one. And so I walked to that. Well, I, slowly made my way to that safely. Well, I sent her a pin of my location, and I've been testing that with my Galaxy Watch, and Bixby just fails to get location, and it'll be like, "Where are you?" And then you'll say, and then it doesn't do specific location. Um, Google Assistant I tried using to do it, and basically it grabbed the locate it I had to disable and then re-enable location, and I brought it in, and then I had to like manually send it, and it just was not an optimal experience. And I understand, like, yeah, if you're having an emergency, but it makes me concerned that, like, if I was having an emergency and needed to call 911 and they're going to track my GPS, same instance, if I use the assistant to trigger and have it call emergency services, or I use like the SOS where you can triple click the button to send a message, that is concerning to me that location just wasn't there. And it's really concerning to me because it wasn't a situation in which I needed an ambulance, but I needed to talk to somebody, and I needed somebody to kind of talk me through it, calm me down, somebody to come get me. I had been walking for a while. I'm there with my son, and I've been fine, and I was fine. I just panicked, and it happens. And then considering, I'm fairly young, um, but thinking about circumstances in which people give devices to uh, an elderly parent or grandparent so that they can contact them because they don't necessarily have situations in which they're gonna want them to be like call 911 all the time. My grandma was having issues and she was constantly calling 911, and they would come and check certain things, and she was having panic attacks. So now she's got medication that she takes to help with it, but sometimes she forgets to take it or forgets. And my mom and my aunt go over there twice, multiple times a day, make sure she gets her medicine in the morning and at night, check in on her and stuff. She's 98, she'll be 99 years old in October. But like, there can be situations where somebody is better, like they don't really need it and for full on emergency, but they need to be able to contact somebody in case they're panicking, in case they're having a situation. And if it doesn't work, that's a problem. And then if it doesn't work when there is an emergency situation, that could be a problem. So now I have my watch set up for like if I were to fall, it's going to send a message. If I triple click the power button, I can have it send it. Same thing with my phone. I'll be testing that out one of these days when my wife's home so that she knows, and I can tell her, hey, I'm going to go test this out. So I'm going to go for a walk, and I'm going to hit this and test it out. You come find me. And so there's that, but then there's instances, for example, blood pressure cuffs, blood sugar monitoring, heart rate monitoring, all this stuff. we need it to be fairly accurate, but we need it to work. And I've had issues where, for example, I know that my Apple Watch only works with an iPhone, but my Galaxy Watch will pair to and work with a number of Android devices, but there are certain features that I lose if I don't use it with a Galaxy phone. Like I tried using it with the Pixel and there were certain features that I lost. Certain features that are there no matter what device you have if you're in Europe, but for some reason in the States they weren't required to do that, and there's a different version of the health app and you can buy or you can like find a altered version of it. But that's concerning to me. That's an issue. If they're really concerned with health and the significance of it, we really need these companies to, um, you know, to take it serious. You know, to want it to work. If you're gonna make it so it only works with your device, then make it so it only works. Samsung could be like, you know what? It's only gonna work. The app is only available through the Galaxy Store. We did this because we could only make sure that these features were guaranteed to work, you know, for such and such needs, right? We could only guarantee that it was going to work, 100% of the time because you have the device that you have. And so, excuse me. But by not doing that, they're kind of making it so some features work, some features don't. And I bring this up too because Google I/O is coming up. Let's see. That is Wednesday on the 11th and the 12th, and they're set to potentially announce a Pixel Watch. And I hope if they do that, if there's certain features that they're going to have that it's going to be like, well, it only works with the Pixel and hi Mike. And this is why, and they just don't let it work with other devices. Or I really hope that they let it work with other devices and it's not the features that necessarily matter significantly. For instance, if it's heart rate monitoring, blood sugar, or, blood pressure, SO2, those features, location sharing, let that work no matter what device you have. But if it's something as far as like on device Google Assistant and it needing to transfer over the stuff from your phone, I can understand where some of those features might be pixel specific, but just let it work. Hi, Jason. That could be a huge benefit and something that they have over the other companies. I've used the TicWatch. Mine, the sensors stopped working. Just one day, they just stopped working. A reset didn't fix anything. Nothing did. And then they had sent it out for review, and I contacted them, and they're like, "Oh, we'll send you one that works, so you can, do your long-term review." And they kind of ghosted me, and then customer service didn't really want to. Like, I reached out to them to be like, "Hey, what are you gonna do about it?" And that's concerning to me because if I had bought it, it would have been within warranty. And so that's something that I see Google could really bring an advantage over like the Apple Watch and the Galaxy Watch and a number of devices that are out there. They can really bring their AI, they can bring their ability to narrow down things precisely. One of the things that I saw that they've been working on is similar to how Apple takes advantage of their ultra wideband chip, where when you bring it near the a HomePod, it can transfer over using that precision, so that basically, if you have an Apple Watch not an Apple Watch, if you have a Google Pixel Watch and a Pixel phone, that their chip can work together and improve triangulation because they can use both those devices. And then if you're, on a if you're near other networks that can do that as well, and they have all this location information. And if you're by somebody who has a Google Hub, that stuff like that can be shared without you accessing the network, but it can triangulate and narrow things down and be precise. And um, that's stuff that I could see them doing. And now we're seeing companies that are coming out with like implantable blood sugar meters that can last 10 years on a charge. And then they just got to pull it, goes just under the skin, and then they go in, they create a slit, and they pull it out and they replace it with another one. And probably by the time it needs to be replaced, they have something that will last so long that you might not, or that will be able to be done, and you just wear it on your shirt and it goes through your skin and it's as precise. And that's the technology I see people using. And I see like um my mother-in-law had some devices that linked up through the Wii things when she was living at home, and now she lives in a like assisted living, but um that would send all that information to a tablet, and then that would be synced to her doctor. And my mom has a blood pressure cuff that the information can sync up and to her phone, and she has checks her blood sugar and she writes that in and then she puts it in an app and all that health information. See, the one thing that like people talk about Apple and they criticize them and they criticize for um being kind of locked in, but when it comes down to it, their health system is pretty well integrated in the fact that whatever information is brought into there's the API is open, and there's a number of third-party apps for running, biking, walking, different exercises, linking to different exercise bikes, linking to data in if you're using a third-party like fitness tracker, that information can be synced up to your health app, and then you can share that with your doctor, and all that information can be put together. And then your doctor can also share stuff to you, and you can have it in a file in there. So you could go to a doctor's office and be like, here's my information. And you don't have to request it from another doctor. You could have it on your phone. And that's stuff that's there that they're really open about. And I would love to see other companies become more open about it, Um, and so, if any of you have stories about how you use your health um, tech, feel free to share that in the comments if you're watching in the replay, or in the chat right now. Just kind of, I know that there's been a number of people that have been had an Apple Watch and they're out and about, and they're out for a walk, and somebody is having an issue and they've used it to call. I know a buddy of mine used it to call 911. His phone had died, but his Apple Watch was still working, and he had the cellular one, and he was able to contact somebody and get 911 there to help somebody. I know that the one issue that I really have with these is the fact that the sizes for them, and the fact that when you go to switch between devices, you got to reset. And so you a lot of times lose that information unless it's synced up, and then you can resync it in through an account. So one thing I would like to see is that change. And I would also like to see maybe the ones for kids that aren't just kids type, but like, or a way that you can easily like just kind of hold it on your kid's arm. And I suppose if you have an older kid that that their arm is big enough that would work, but like have a specific mode that it understands, and maybe there's sensors that are closer in. It would, or um if I'm out and about and I put it on somebody else, that their information isn't linked, I can put like guest so that their heart rate and stuff isn't linked up. Because if somebody is having something, yeah, I know that it's not to diagnose and that, but if I'm out and about and let's say I'm with a buddy and he feels like his heart is pounding out of his chest and having a hard time breathing or something, the ability with some of these, especially some of these that are really like really, really, really accurate, to be able to put that on somebody's arm and hit stuff, like maybe that's the only thing you have on you. You're not an EMT, you're not a, but like just to be able to say, hey, by the way, this shows your heart rate is this and but if you want, we can go get you checked out to have peace of mind, but not have that information kind of sync up to my device and mess up the information would be really nice and something that I hope that companies think of. And same thing with like um, voice data on these things that um, because in theory with a watch, depending on if you lock it or not, if it's synced up, like somebody could really mess with you. They could call somebody on your phone or access certain things through it. Because I know, for one, I quite often would turn off the off wrist feature on my Apple Watch just because I was sick of like I would take it off to do something to clean it, or like when I was working in a factory and wasn't allowed to wear it, and then when I go to put it on, my notifications wouldn't come through and like my directions because I had forgot to unlock it. Like, so I just turned that off. But if there was a way to limit and have like a guest mode access so you can hand it over to somebody and say, hey, use this, check your stuff. And then I just feel like I know it's kind of a niched feature, but that's something that could be really significant and helpful to many of us. And in the future, as battery life on these things improves and more sensors are put in there, and you're able to use cellular on these things for longer than like a couple hours, because most of these maybe 2-3 hours on phone call and it's dead. So as these technologies improve, and as like the cloud syncing improves, and as you're able to get more information to it, I see that this could be more and more helpful, even potentially like being able to play a little video for something on your watch and not have it completely drain it and have it load up really quick would be cool. You're I don't know, you think that you've been exposed to poison ivy, the ability to just ask it and have it pop up and play a little clip, like show a photo, but maybe play a clip of like somebody showing somebody that has poison ivy, so you can determine if the rash matches. Being able to maybe you do initiate a voice call to somebody, and then they say, hey, I want to see it, and you are able to just pull up your phone and have it link through. These are all things that I would like to see a more cohesive experience in ecosystem in the health system. What else? Fitness equipment that's not super expensive. You gotta basically be able to afford to go to. You basically pay for a gym membership to go to. Um, Maybe something that hooks onto like the pedal of your bike to track the actual movement of your feet. Or sensors that can sense your whole body movement. Certain features like that would be incredible. I would really, really, really like to see some of these things implemented more so into the technology by these companies. And that's something interesting to me. Wonder what light I'm getting here. Huh. So that's kind of my experience, my thoughts on this Monday evening on as far as health tech. And then beyond that, I don't know that I'm really necessarily gonna do. I might do a quick video on this, but I've been using the Phone Rebel case here on my iPhone 13 Pro. Thanks to my buddy who sent this to me. Um, and I don't know. At first, I was a little worried because you have the bare sides that are kind of exposed there. But it's mainly been fingerprints. As far as like scratches, I don't put it in my pocket with a bunch of keys and stuff. And so, and it also does come with, I didn't put them on, it comes with like kind of almost like screen protector, but side protector material you can put on there. It feels really nice to hold on to. It protects the corners there. The sides are exposed. It would be nice to see like them sell a something that can kind of clip into place on the sides somehow and make it into a full style case. But I like because it still protects the back. Some of the bumpers just kind of protect the corners really. I don't care for those. This protects the back and the corners. Unless you drop it on the side, but if you drop it on there even with a regular case on, it's going to most likely destroy it. I've also been using I have the cryo case here on the S22 Ultra, and it has seemed to keep it pretty cool. I was out in the car the other day. We were out for a drive on Saturday for Mother's Day. My wife wanted to go for a drive Saturday, and so that's what we did. And I was using the case, and my phone kept really cool. My iPhone, actually, funny enough, on 5G was getting really, really warm. Hi, Kia. Um, and so with those two cases, though, there's just something different. Like, this one's pretty protective, but it's got that unique look to it. It's supposed to be made out of a material that helps kind of wick the heat away from the device. It's got good grip on it. I like the way that it feels, the texture and stuff. And then the phone, this case here, is MagSafe compatible. And I don't know, I just like that it's pretty simple. I use it at home. I wasn't going to use it when we were out and about, but I did. I'm usually pretty careful with my phones. And if I were to drop it, it's still got protection on the top and the bottom pretty well. It's just the sides mainly that need a little bit better protection for it. But then I mean, I have a few other cases. I have the Apple silicone like blue case here that needs to be kind of cleaned. I have a couple Nomad cases. And so if I'm really concerned, I'll just throw it in one of those cases and bring it out and about. I charged up my Flip here. And I got the cover launcher running here, which is pretty cool. It lets you do things like scroll through Twitter on your cover display if you really wanted to. Let's go home. Let's go into Look at that. I'm watching my live stream on the cover display of the Z Flip 3 5G. But I really wanted to test and see how the battery is after the most recent updates, and see, since I am using my phones a little bit differently these days, and that's a video I want to get into. I really, really think that I would be okay with it. The only concern I would have is because I'm using a Galaxy Watch and I have it paired to it and have the location stuff and all of my notifications coming through from like Twitter and YouTube Studio and Telegram and Instagram and whatnot, Facebook Messenger, that the battery life would be really degraded by it. And so that's kind of one of my concerns. Um, but as far as that, I mean, I wish that the charging was faster on that device as opposed to just 15 watts. It's a little bit slow. And so that's um I also am streaming from, well, you can tell my iMac is there, so I'm obviously not streaming on my iMac. I am using um the desktop PC that I built 3 years ago, um March of 2019. Yeah. And I really just need to get quieter fans for it and go in and adjust some things. But that's what I'm streaming on and using my Sony A6100 camera there with the Sigma 30 millimeter. And, I got microphone set up here. This is the Audio Technica AAT 2020. My microphone that I was using for the longest time is over like that way. And also, I am working on, for those of you who have been around in this space for a while, you may remember when I was doing creator interviews. And so I'm working on bringing that back, but with a different name. All those interviews are still up over on the my other channel. It's called MPT Behind the Minds. There's a link. It will be down in the description of this. It's in the description of all my videos. There's actually a link to that channel in the About page. And so I'm working on bringing that back, but as a like pre-recorded podcast. So that way my guests, I can work more around their time and get that going and flowing. Uh, it will be more structured and more um, getting to know them and not entirely always full tech discussion. I want to get to know creators that are in the art space, creators that are in photography space, creators that are in, music, um, creators that are in DIY, creators maybe that are into woodworking, building, creators that are into things that I find fascinating, the content that I watch besides tech, and content that other people might find fascinating. Um, it's one of those like, yeah, it's MPT Behind the Minds, but MPT is kind of my brand. So I want to expand beyond tech with that. So that's kind of my announcement with that. I will, of course, um, post on Twitter when I do bring that back and have that going again. Um, Part of the beginning of it might just be me talking and kind of a get to know me. You do that a little bit on here. More of like what got me into tech. Why do I use Apple products primarily for content creation, but also use, Windows and Android and that put out a poll and maybe have people ask me questions. And I think it would just be a fun experience because a lot of times people sit down and watch, but don't really know the person, and that's okay. But like, how do you develop that connection? How do you trust that what they're telling you is honest if you don't really know them too well? It's one of these interesting things, really, if you think about it, when you start watching somebody that you're literally trusting somebody that you don't know. You come across a new channel and you watch their video, you watch a few videos and you're like, oh, cool, and so also tutorials, getting back into that again, and just doing things I really enjoy, live streaming. You may have noticed I'm doing that more often. And I appreciate when people come by and watch. You may have noticed that it's kind of intermittent when I do it, and it's kind of random as to when I do it. But um, we moved, and I have this space here in the corner of the living room, and it's something that I really enjoy doing, and just getting on here and talking and having conversation. And I hope to eventually get guests on here as well. So, but initially, I want to get the podcasting thing running up again and get those going and more developed and a database of that so that people can kind of just get to know their creators that they watch, find new creators, give exposure to creators, small creators, get to maybe interact and talk with some of the bigger creators as well, and kind of let people know that, like, hey, you can just reach out. Hey, you can just interact. You don't have to be like afraid to talk to people. You don't have to wonder like, hey, what are these people like? And because unless you're kind of in the creator space, or you're somebody who maybe maybe you don't make content, but you interact as far as tech in the Twitter space or whatever with other content creators in the Twitter space. Maybe you're a journalist, maybe whatever. You probably don't realize how um, like some of these people, they can't just sit down and do what I do, what we do, and live stream. And when we're live streaming, they get nervous, or they really enjoy it, but they don't do it often because they don't know if their um, viewer base will enjoy it. And so, to give people opportunity to just sit down and talk about what's on their mind, get to know them, is something that I really am looking forward to doing. And I hope that you all enjoy it as well. And the interactions with that will be incredible. Of course, the pre-recorded stuff, be asking questions, interacting in the chat is really important. Um, it's also important kind of developing subscriber base, because not only, yeah, because it'd be nice to get monetized, but also just because there are companies that don't take you serious if you don't have a certain number of subscribers. Even if, I mean, for instance, there are times that I've noticed that I'm getting the same number of views as channels that have 10 times the subscribers, but companies don't necessarily consider that. So developing this connection, and it's important to me that people subscribe, because um I want to know, that I'm making a difference to people each and every time, expanding the number of people that I reach, and helping more and more people, because that's what this is really important, and that's what this really matters about, is helping people and interacting with people. And um, I learn, and people comment stuff and help me expand my knowledge as far as tech. And so that is something that's significant to me. Also, enjoying tech that I bought and then didn't really enjoy for a while is something that I think is um, interesting, that I want to talk about and figure out a way to do it. I got a Nintendo Switch Lite. It's the lovely green color, and the protective case on it here, and I've been playing um, Minecraft, building on it, because my son likes to watch that. It's simple. It's something I am trying to teach him how to play on the Xbox. And then I also have Crash Bandicoot, the quad pack, on there. And so getting into that and just getting into the technology that I use every day and enjoying it and discussing it is something that I think I need to do more of. Um, and I know for some people, tech is boring. For some people, it's kind of stagnant right now, and some people are like, you just need to focus all on one thing. But for me, that's not me. Um, I like looking at tech in everything. I mean, shoot, I have these two speakers that I bought. that were sent out to me a while last week for testing, and the tech that's in them is pretty cool. The ability to pair them up and have like a right and left channel. So if you're using something that does like Dolby Atmos simulation and it says, put on your headphones, the ability to have it do that is pretty cool. Let me the lighting that I have in here for my kind of studio space setup is pretty simple but pretty cool tech. The cameras that I use so I can like check in on my son in the night if he needs something, I can talk to him through it. The what do you call it? The oh, what do you call it? Air fryer. And that stuff that people use and might find helpful and is more than just like smartphones because people buy a phone. Okay, I unless I'm gonna buy or get accessories sent to me or cover accessories or whatever, that once you bought the phone and you get into it and you've used it and you've loaded up the apps that you use. Yeah, I could like cover the different apps that I use, and I probably should, but like, is the general person watching gonna care about how I record a video? Maybe, and I'm thinking about covering that and covering like, okay, how do I get decent audio when I want to use my full on camera because I like the depth of field and I like the quality of the video out that, but not having, but I don't have a external camera, but can get good audio recording with my phone. How do I do that? How do I sync it up? What do I use? And it's free. The software I use is free. And if you're doing family videos, how can that help you? If you're somebody who has a work from home setup, how can you use that to do more than like Zoom meetings and to expand and maybe continue on now that that's over? Um, Maybe you had a computer set up with a simple webcam for that stuff, but now you want to create content. How can you do that? Um, Photography stuff is important to me, but that's a very like can be very expensive. I've tried it. I've tried to cover it, and I think that's something that would be important to cover. Maybe do an updated video on smartphone versus camera technology and how there are things that are beneficial from our smartphones that are can be done that our regular camera can't do, and vice versa. I don't know. It's just things that have been on my mind, thinking of these things, contemplating, ideas and discussions and all sorts of, what do you talk about when there's lots to talk about in the tech space and people don't really seem to understand that and they want to kind of complain about, oh, there's nothing to talk about, there's nothing to do. uh, Technology is ever expanding, ever growing. We have new cellular technology coming out. There's new bands. Um I read an article that Sharp is releasing 2 new phones overseas, and I forgot that Sharp was still making phones. I remember the Aqua series and stuff, and they had TVs and they have other microwaves and stuff, but that would be something that might be interesting to talk about and look into is products that people don't really realize are being made by certain companies. And I know that, that might not bring in the views, but for me, it's fascinating. And even seeing what companies are doing that are beneficial to the consumer that techies think isn't. So the reverse perspective of things. Um, my sister, she went from a Pixel 3a XL to a Pixel 6 Pro. And so one of the things I want to do is talk to her about her experience with that. I doubt she'll be on camera, but maybe she'll let me record a conversation. I can just ask her some questions and talk about it, or even send her some questions and she can just record the answers and send. I don't know. Um, I would like to if it wasn't. I kn- I kn- I know that it would be more complicated to do because my dad works on like a local zoning board and water commission and different things like that. Works with the library. He has all this stuff that he's constantly doing, emails that he's checking. He still, has stuff that's on his iPhone and that he trusts. And so, though I'd like to be like, hey, use this Android phone and use this Pixel and use it for everything and let me know what you think after, each day. At the end of a week, 2 weeks, do you want to keep using it after, let me know what you think and experience. But the problem is all that stuff that he has and all like the music that he has synced up through iTunes and all this different. And so that could be an interesting, like, why can't some people switch even if they wanted to? Why can't they? And why sometimes that prevents consumers from wanting to switch. Um, or, my sister was using an iPhone 5, and then when the original Pixel came out, she started using that, and then got, I think, maybe the Pixel 2, but then 3a XL, and then she gave the original Pixel or the Pixel 2 to her son to use, and then, that upgrade cycle for that, going, and what's the learning curve as that's the other important about using health technology. What's the learning curve in using it and understanding it and implementing it? What's the issue with if people don't really understand, like, okay, I'm using a smartwatch, but it's not necessarily, it's not going to be 100% accurate if you don't have it positioned just right. That's one thing I like about the Galaxy Watch is like it will prompt you if it thinks the measurement is wrong. It will prompt you to position your arm just so it optimize the measurements, where Apple Watches is kind of like, oh, we're going to measure it. And it's, there are prompts that say, don't use this for diagnosis. This is not, for determining if you're having a heart attack or whatever. But those are things that I feel like companies can do better, and I'd like to see them expand upon as, new and improved technology comes out, as we see stuff expand. I would love to see more of this come into play. I would love to see um, expansion of this. I would love to get a perspective of somebody who's like new to a particular new to it. Like, it would be fascinating to me to have somebody who's always used like an iPhone and maybe an iPad and an Apple Watch use like an Android device and like an Android Wear OS watch and maybe an Android tablet and like see their experience. And not like I've seen fellow creators that are doing that, but like they kind of knew about and just kind of either chose not to or wasn't really interested in them that. But I'm talking about like people, just general consumer that might not even realize that. But then they're like, oh, the Pixel, maybe they, they heard about it or somebody else, and more people are using the Pixels now. and that sparked their interest, and that would be fascinating to me to see like new users, true new users doing this, not somebody that just kind of made the choice to be in one but fully understands the other or has gotten review units sent from the other. Like that would be an interesting, and maybe I can discuss why I always end up using both. And I've switched and been away from using an iPhone before, but like what brings me back and why iPad, and what brings me back and things like that. I don't know, I'm just kind of brainstorming here. Um been just thinking through some things, chatting through some things. Um, I think that these are the important conversations, though, that we need to look at, like perspective from other points of view, and you know, I don't know. I think that technology is so vast, and there are realms and areas that we don't necessarily cover, and I know why. I mean, it's expensive, and like even smartwatch stuff. Um, a lot of times people cover the cheaper stuff or cover like just health trackers that are in like the shape of it. But like you're gonna cover the Garmin, you're gonna cover the more expensive equipment, you're gonna compare that to official heart rate monitor equipment and things like that. How are you gonna do that unless you like work in a field where they let you compare and test, or you have access to that at home because you need one, or it'd be curious to see. um I would also be curious to see like somebody using older devices, because general consumer holding on to phones for 2 or 3 years. So somebody who does upgrade every year to grab like a iPhone 11 Pro Max or like an iPhone or whatever, like if you're using an 13 Pro, grab an 11 Pro. Grab the equivalent from that and just see what it would be like. Because I'd be curious to know like what really has changed for content creators, for the techies. What really has changed? Is it just because to cover the newest thing? Is it because the update, to upgrade was cheap? And those are questions that I would love to ask people and reach out and ask. And maybe I should do that. Do like a collaboration thing. Ask a question, reach out to some of my fellow content creators. If you're watching, that's something you'd like to participate in, just let me know. I think it'd be cool. Post like a little, send a video clip. Hey, here's my questions. You reply real quick, put them all together, and just really delve into maybe what differentiates between some content creators and general users, or which content creators are both. Is it somebody just recording there and they didn't really change their way of doing things, their habit, their way of life? For me, I didn't really. I was always actually I bought less probably in the last couple of years than I was before, because before I was just buying and getting devices, like prepaid devices here and there, just to test them out, and I would just go on to the next one because I wasn't covering it. It didn't really. I would trade it in or sell it off, and it wasn't something that like, oh, I need to think about, like I need to be able to cover all this stuff, and I also want to be able to provide a good experience device to somebody, and I need to cover a device that I know people are gonna care about. Um, so maybe getting back into that would be interesting, because there are a number of videos on devices I had that got better views than I expected, and it's was quite shocking to me. And there are areas in tech that people don't seem to be covering a lot of. And it would be interesting. I mean, we have case cover videos of people covering cases. There's a whole channel that covers like chargers, and they take them apart to show what's on the inside of the power bricks. There are companies that do these, or channels that do kind of these nonsense charging tests, but they don't really show like they're hooking up to meters to show the actual like voltage and amperage going in and out necessarily with the same like some of these are using all the same chargers, but that's not the experience you get because the consumer is like they're going to use the cable that comes in there and then buy, and then either they got a charger because it was given to them, a pre-order deal, they bought one through that way, or whatever was like popped up first on Amazon. So using those, using what chargers we know people are using, that would be a great video. When people buy MagSafe battery pack, are they, searching on YouTube first? Probably not. They're probably searching on Amazon or going to the local store and buying whatever the cheapest is that says that on it. But educating people on what of this technology really gives you the experience that they, promised and said that they would give you is something that I think maybe more people need to talk about, more people need to discuss. I mean, I did a video talking about the update on this, and somebody asked me to do a test comparison. Now, the problem would be if I were to go out and buy another one, I would have to figure out a way to keep it from updating. I would have to figure out a way to test it again, because the problem is I could look at my previous test, but that's on different software. So have software updates on the phone improve things as well. That would be an interesting, maybe look at somebody that's used it in a certain, but my use case would be different. So that's something I can't necessarily do. I can base it off from my notes and base it off from my previous video and go, okay, it charges up to, and I've already done that, and I've kind of kept track of and noticed that it's an hour and a half to deplete it. Where before it was over 2 hours, 2 hours, 15 minutes. So this is stuff that I think is helpful. Tech Loving Mama, hello. Welcome. So one of the things that she and I have talked about also on the kind of as far as tech relating and health and all that is for people who have kids, monitoring their usage, monitoring maybe where the device is, being able to ping it. What do you do? How do you pin an app on an Android device and an iPhone? How do you make sure that your child is only in that app? What apps are safe to do that with? Understanding if they know how to get between profiles in Netflix, that you're gonna have to do the where you can create. And I just found out that apparently there is a way to create their own account and share it under your plan, but do it as a shared account and add them to the family. So that way they're only signed into theirs and not access to yours. I guess there's a way to do that now. I'll have to look into that because that would help a lot of people. My son, I mean, he just clicks the videos. He doesn't ever really go into mine because to get out of it. But YouTube, on the other hand, has YouTube Kids, has their own. Hulu is same as with Netflix. They don't have their own. And I don't understand that. You have these huge markets and the benefits of if they were to have their own. And like I was talking about earlier with the health apps, having a shared method, having something where you can create your own profile would be great. Apple with the iPad should have profiles. iPhones, I feel should even have profiles because if you want, let's say you want to give an old iPhone to maybe have your kids use it to watch stuff. and you want to have them share it, maybe like they each get an hour a day to share it, or they're like with an iPad, having them where they could have their own profiles. So that way, if you do have an app that they would be signed into their own profile and then certain apps. So your older kids that understand, hey, don't, mess with stuff. I can see what you've been watching or whatever. You could have them have their own profile and younger have their own and stuff and split things and have a family profile. And so these are things that I wish were there. And I know on the Android side, they're there. I know when I went to set it up with the Pixel, I had to kind of figure out how exactly I was going to make it work, because I went to set up and didn't realize, like, you have to have an adult account and the kids account. You can't just set up just the kids account. And then the way that you do it is you sign in under like a kid's email and it does it. And you don't and so the process and like even the way that Google's website explains it and like some of the forums explain it aren't clear. So these are all things that have been running through my mind about like how I can really bring in the I don't only talk tech, I live it, but how I can show you how I use it and benefit other people. And all these ideas, of course, I'm going to have to watch through my own live stream to remember all this stuff, because I don't script anything. I don't do notes. I don't do bullet points. Everything's just kind of off the cuff. So remembering all of this would be a miracle if I remember it all. So what I'll say is it is almost 9:30, and it's been a little bit over an hour. I know technically T postponed his live stream. He's not feeling well. I know Tech for Your Needs had his live stream before me. And if you all think that I should, if you think I should keep doing this Monday one, kind of a Monday evening, this time slot, let me know in the chat. Let me know in the comments section. Of course, if you're watching this in replay, hashtag replay crew. If you watched this live, that would be something to let me know as well. If you're new, please subscribe. Also, don't forget to give this a big thumbs up. And of course, Wednesday, I will be back 8 o'clock, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's 7 Central, 6 Mountain, 5 Western to do that live stream. Google I/O event will be that day, so there'll be plenty to talk about. I am contemplating loading Linux onto my desktop. I have a M.2 SSD that I got from Samsung when I got my, let's see, what was that? When I got my Fold, I think? No. When I ordered anyways, that's one of my devices. I got that. So I can put that in there and load that up. And it's a 1 terabyte, I believe. And kind of be as somebody, I've tinkered with it in the past, but like primary use, live streaming with it, loading up editing software, how well does it function? Does compared to Windows? Does stuff work faster? Does it take advantage of the GPU? All the lighting in it, what you can and can't do. And I think it would be fascinating. Maybe I'll do a video of like first reaction, just doing some of this stuff. If any of you kind of have opinions on, okay, what software you use or you'd suggest using with like Ubuntu, because that's probably what I would use. That would be awesome to hear. Also, if any of you are Windows users, um, pieces of software that you use to improve your experience, um, what's your browser of choice? Do you have certain extensions that you choose to use to help the experience? Is there like an app for search, kind of like Apple has Spotlight, that improves on Windows? Um, as I'm getting back into using Windows more and more again, I never really was a full time. I used Apple at home and used Windows in school, but like years, I'm talking 15, 20 years ago. And, now stuff has changed. So that's stuff I would like to kind of know, like, is there stuff that you use for that? Um, what's a good pair of, inexpensive speakers? I was trying to use AirParrot to send through my HomePod minis, but that didn't really work very well. I have these ones, like I said, that this company called Zealot sent out to me. And, they're Bluetooth, so I can position them wherever I want around my desk and stuff and keep them out of the way. If I want to like push my chair back, I can do that. But that's not really the optimal experience. Of course, they can be plugged in, but I would have to use like a splitter, and that just gets complicated. So a good, decent, inexpensive pair of speakers, recommendations, or of the like. If you want to, contact me other than in the chat, go find me on Twitter. It's at Michael Pepper TT, because I used to be Tech Talk, and then it was kind of redundant, but I left it as TT, um, because they won't, that the number of characters is too long to put it as tech. Apparently, 2 syllables too long, and or 2 characters too long. Also, if you guys have a favorite pair of earbuds that you like, let me know what those are. I have used all the Samsung ones except for the Buds Pro. Here's the Buds 2, Buds Live. I have the Buds Plus and the regular Buds around here somewhere. I have multiple pairs of the periodic audio. Let me show you here. Earbuds, multiple pairs. I have like all of the ones from them. I have AirPods that I found. I have an inexpensive pair of earbuds that I will be doing a review on, that are like $25 on Newegg, and then they have another set that's like similar ones on Amazon. I'll have my thoughts on those. They're okay. I don't know. I mean, I know that like for $25, you're kind of limited on pricing and sound. And a lot of the stuff that I've experienced with this seems to be pretty similar on that, like from other people. I know you're gonna, be looking more at like the $50 price range. And ooh, what deal was that? You said you got the deal that Juan mentioned earlier today. What deal was that? Um, I must be out of the loop. Um, as far as what deal? Hmm. Ooh, interesting. I know the XM5, Sony XM5s should be coming out soon. For those of you who don't know, I kind of have a secret guilty pleasure of audio and have kind of been getting into more of that stuff. I will check my DMs right now. And I find it fascinating. I'm not a professional by any means as an audiophile when it comes to that, but um, my hearing is pretty good. And let's see what these are. How sounds AU Flex ANC over the ear? Oh yeah, these with LDAC Bluetooth, 990 kilobits per second from devices like Android phones and high-end music players. Ambient mode, magnetic earbuds. Uh, ooh, up to 3 hours and with just 15 minutes charge. 22 hours music playback or 10 hours of music with ANC turned on. Wow, that's a heck of a deal. Let me I just posted a link in the chat. Wow, that is insane. They're normally wow. BH photo video. That is crazy. These are normally well, let me see here. Let me um share screen. I'm going to share this. So um let's see there. Ah, there we go. Right here. A pair of wow. These look really nice. Normally $200 and they're $30 right now. Save 85%. Huh. So these are wow, those look really nice. Huh. Well, I'll be curious to know what other people's thoughts are on these. Are they considered Bluetooth IEMs? I mean, not really. Because I mean, IEMs are just in-ear monitors, so they have a different quality, different way that they're built as far as like the different. This is my understanding, at least. So these have planar, magnetic, and dynamic drivers, and let me um both small portable audio devices and insert directly into. Let's learn something today. Biggest difference, IEMs are placed directly into the ear canal where earbuds simply rest on the outer ear. This difference may seem minute at first, but it carries a lot of implications, which one we'll list right now. the difference in noise isolation and volume level, sound quality. Yep, driver composition. So there's a lot of different things here. Let me share in the chat. There's a link so that you can kind of understand the difference between the two. From my understanding, and then that kind of reaffirms my understanding there, that the real difference between the two would be really the positioning of where because with regular earbuds, like if you look at these, right? These they just kind of they just kind of sit right on the outside of and then that part goes in, but not very far. And even the way that like the drivers are designed and the sound that they can push. So these right here are IEMs. And when I put these in my ears, they don't have ANC, but like I can't hear the humming of my computer anymore. They block out quite a bit of sound. I don't have to have the volume up very loud and I can hear stuff pretty clear. So when I'm listening to music or like editing videos or whatever, the sound quality is just different. And what you can drive through these, of course, these are wired. So even wireless, though, like what you can drive through them and what you can do, the bass that you can get, some of the different things is just, it's a different experience. And until you've kind of tried it, um, there really isn't a comparable experience. Shark says, I thought I'd read somewhere that IEMs must be wired and not Bluetooth, but I'm thinking that that was bad info. Um, yeah, and I know that I can't remember the brand, but I know that Juan has a pair of IEMs that he uses that or he's covered, I think, that can be wired or wireless. So basically you can use them at like via Bluetooth, like you would use them almost like uh TWS, like true wireless. But then you can connect them up with a cable so they can be wired. But they're IEMs either way. It's just obviously with Bluetooth, you're gonna have difference in latency. You're gonna have difference in the quality of the frequencies, in the quality of the audio that it can push, and some of that stuff. You're not gonna get true lossless. Most likely, you're not gonna get the clarity. You might have delay between the two sides in some instances, depending on how they function. Are they working in two separate, where really they connect up to your device as two separate things? Or is it like the one earbud connects up and then the other one connects up remotely to it in what they call like a master slave situation? Um, like from my understanding, that's kind of really a lot of the difference in there. And wired, I mean, I prefer wired. I have adapters for different devices. I've tested some adapters for um, one of the companies. They're working on figuring out kind of what makes the best solution and what out of there that exists they can recommend to people, and then building their own solution for it. And so I'll be curious to see where that goes. I'd be curious to see, um, I really should get more into testing hardwired um, solutions, I guess, for devices. And, um, you know, I really enjoy Bluetooth for the simplicity, and as far as, my hearing, yeah, I would much have rather have wired. You don't have to listen to it as loud, but um, you can, and, like, just the separation and things seems to be better. You don't have to spend as much, but you can get a really, really good experience without having to spend a ton of money, and so move that over a little. That's kind of been something that I've noticed with my experience with this, and I have way too many pairs of, um, like, for somebody who doesn't cover that type of stuff, I have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, like 4 pairs of headphones, 1, 2, 3, 4 pairs of IEMs, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like 10 pairs of wireless earbuds, and um, different speakers are different around. I have um uh, Soundcore um speaker. Speaking of which, I got an email. I can show you guys real quick. They apparently have a new outdoor speaker that they're coming out with, and apparently you can reserve for $1 and you'll get $38 off. So the normal price is $179.99. You'll get it for $141.99. Um, reserve your early bird coupon before May 30th. It's our anniversary. The coupon is only valid for the US. Interesting. Soundcore Motion Boom Plus will be released on May 30th. It's an 80-watt boom sound, two 30-watt woofers, and passive radiators offer powerful and immersive sound, while two 10-watt tweeters let you hear every single detail of your song in crystal clear clarity. Well, it's a tongue twister. Bass up. Bluetooth 5.3 has auxiliary in, titanium drivers, IP67 water and dust proof, PartyCast 2.0, so you can use multiple of them together. 20 hours extended playtime, and charge your devices with it. Oh, so it can act like a battery pack. That's cool. Have to check that out. I would love if anybody from Soundcore is listening to get my hands on one and test those out. But also apart from, I guess, my fascination with audio as of late has been networking and figuring that out. And I had an issue with my PC where the drivers were acting up. And so I should post a video on that, my solution on that. I have way too much that I find fascinating and dig into to cover all on one channel. Um, Thinking about that. Really, really thinking about. Oh, and another thing, 3D printing. Um, is something I would really, 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 really like to get into. I'm thinking next time that I see a really, really good deal on one. I've seen a couple deals where there's been like $300, $400, $500 3D printers on sale for like $100. That I would like to get my hands on one. Yeah, Micro Center has those deals quite often. The thing would be like the nearest Micro Center. I mean, I'm talking about like 4 hours, 5 hours in drive time, and then hoping that they have one available when I get there. I get it's in store only, so the likelihood is pretty high. There is a bug flying around that one would be in stock by the time I get there. But um maybe maybe if Father's Day, maybe if they have one available around Father's Day, I can do that. And I don't know. Also been thinking about getting an Apple Watch again. Just to see how it's changed in the because the last Apple Watch I had was a Series 4 that I got rid of when I picked up the the Samsung Galaxy Watch 4 when that was released, like a week or a couple weeks after that actually came out. So I've had this for basically since launch date. So I'd be curious to see like how does it work with the newer battery life improved at all, faster charging. Um, do do I really need some of the advantages it has with some of the apps like Telegram? The fact that that got removed from Wear OS is kind of annoying. Stupid bugs. Um, so I don't know. That's kind of been my thinking. It's been about an hour and a half. We're coming on in about 10 minutes. So it'll be 10 o'clock my time. I think that about wraps it up. Thanks for Tech Love and Mama, Shark Fin, Jason C, Tech 702, Kia 2 Technical, anybody who came on by the live. Thanks for coming on by. Also, anybody who stops and watches the replay, I truly appreciate you all. As you all know, replay crew, and let me know what your technology guilty pleasures, fascinations are, maybe things that you don't talk about if you're a content creator or if you're on Twitter or whatever, just things you don't really talk about that you have fascinated, let me know. Also, if you have things that you would like my input on, put that down in the comments, and I will see you all Wednesday, 8 p.m. back again. Have a good evening. God bless. I don't only talk tech, but I live it, and I enjoy living it each and every day and each and every week with y'all. Peace out.